Yes, guys. Welcome back to Nuclear Reaction Faction. We're back reacting to another Turkey Tom video. This time, Cyraxx's Horrifying History. Go check out the full documentary on his channel. I'll leave a link in the description. This is part one of a video series. Let's get popping.
Talk about something, man. You have gone too far, and I mean too far.
What's too far for Cyraxx? I dread to think.
It's one thing to attack me. It's one thing to troll me. It's one thing to make a haha joke, very funny. Oh, we had to share blah blah funny shit. This isn't a game, Marty.
This isn't a game.
You're with people's lives here, you sick fuck.
It's like he thinks he's on a movie set constantly. I've got to see that again.
Some people get the
It's one thing to make a haha
You're
joke,
fucking with
very
people's lives,
funny.
Marty.
Oh, we had to share blah blah funny shit. This isn't a game, Marty. You're fucking with people's lives here, you sick fuck.
Some people get the short end of the stick when it comes to genetics, and not all of them deal with it gracefully. Sure, congenital issues can account for some shortcomings, but how many? When does someone cross the line, and despite their defects, when can they be held accountable for their actions? A
Isn't
case
that
study
like,
of this.
that's like the age-old question, nature versus nurture, isn't it, really? Like, Cyraxx is a specimen, and he's definitely special, but, like, from what I can remember, doesn't excuse a lot of what he does.
Gray area is Ohio's very own Cyraxx, often referred to as the dollar store Chris Chan or Asmongold's long-lost twin. Over the course of a decade, Cyraxx has gone from an aspiring musician to trying to stay out of jail for things like abusing his grandmother and sending some very unfortunate messages to people who definitely shouldn't have received them. So in today's video, I aim to answer the question, who the hell is Cyraxx?
He's badass, that's what he is. Look at the geezer. Oh, wow.
I don't know what that means.
Received that. So in today's video,
He looks like something out of Skyrim in that video. Like he looks he looks like one of the I'm not trying to bully him, I'm really not yet. But he looks like one of the trolls on that make the mammoth cheese on Skyrim.
to answer the question, who the hell is Cyraxx?
Look, you just come up to someone's cave and they're pissed off.
I don't know what that means. All right, go.
Oh, get it. Look at that. Body popping and everything. Get it. He must have some black in him. And some Chinese, apparently.
Like many other lolcows, Cyraxx didn't just come about in a vacuum. If anything, he is the closest we've ever come to a purebred lolcow. Born Patrick Smith on September 20th, 1990, Cyraxx claims he was born at just 26 weeks, weighing only 1 pound and 12 ounces, with only 1 kidney and 1.5 lungs, and with 1 blind, lazy eye. At least in part, this is because his mother, Connie Lobdell, was herself challenged to some extent. Cyraxx is
I can believe he was born premature, but it sounds a bit extreme, 14 weeks. Is that just me? Like, that can't be true.
grandmother, Sally, claimed she was fully disabled, although it's unclear what that means, while his father described her as someone with ADHD and another unnamed condition. He specified that it took him 3 years to teach her how to drive a car, which suggests some degree of intellectual limitation. Many speculate he suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome, though due to Connie's potentially impaired condition, there's hardly any way to hold her accountable for that. His father, on the other hand, is a very different story. In 1994, Rupal Mark Smith, the original legal name of Cyraxx Sr., was arrested. While accounts on this vary, with Cyraxx himself saying his father went to jail the day he was born, the records available put his arrest at when Cyraxx would have been 3 or 4 years old. On July 26, a 14-year-old girl was raped by an unknown man who chased her off a bike path for around 50 feet. According to a person who identified as the unnamed victim, he'd already been stalking her prior to the assault, which meant it was premeditated and suggestive that he'd probably done something like this before. She gave a detailed description of her attacker and his blue 10-speed bike to the police, who prepared a composite sketch. When presented with photo lineups, the victim picked Rupal out of both of them. The sketch was then published in the local newspaper and ended up being seen by Rupal himself just 2 days after the attack.
The fact that he's even in a photo lineup is very disturbing, to say the least.
Fortunately, the intellectual acumen of the Smith lineage was already being exhibited, as Rupal decided to call the police himself and identify himself as extremely similar to the man depicted, only to say he wasn't responsible and had an alibi. Regardless, this was enough for the person taking his call to report him to their supervisor, leading an officer to be sent to where Rupal was residing. Upon arriving at the residence, the blue 10-speed bike was seen, an exact match for the one that was at the crime scene. Once the officer became more accusatory toward Rupal, Rupel, his responses were incriminating. Apparently, while he didn't outright confess to the assault, he said something tantamount to an admission of kidnapping, dragging the victim across the road against her will. After that, Rupel asked for an attorney, but what he said at that point was enough for an arrest and trial, during which a jury convicted him of kidnapping, sexual assault, and sexual abuse of a minor. He attempted to appeal his convictions, but ultimately failed and had to serve a total of 20 years in prison. This is relevant because it meant that, with Rupel out of the picture due to his arrest,
do you know what? That's so refreshing to see someone who does something like that actually go to prison and for a decent stretch of time. Over here, oh man, it's terrible. I don't want to go off on a huge rant, but you get a lot more time for doing something. Say you were committing fraud against a big company, yeah, so no single person gets hurt, yeah, nothing happens, yeah. You go away for 10 years over here, yeah. You do something like what this geezer's just done, yeah. You go away for 2 years and you're out in 1, like, or you don't go to prison at all. It's disgusting.
A minor. He attempted to appeal his convictions, but ultimately failed and had to serve a total of 20 years in prison. This is relevant because it meant that, with Rupel out of the picture due to his arrest, and Connie being unfit to care for a child due to her disability, someone else would have to raise Cyraxx. That someone ended up being his grandmother, Sally, who moved Patrick out of Alaska and into her humble home in Akron, Ohio.
I've got to say, like, it's nice that his family stepped in and looked after him and that, yeah. But there's kind of like I have this weird thing about elderly people raising children, because I feel like they're so out of touch with like the culture, that how are they going to raise them properly? Like, they've got completely different morals and values from a completely different time, potentially racist for a start and homophobic, but it's just so weird. You know, like, you have you typically your parents are only like 20 years older than you or something like that, right? Or like 30 at the tops, but like having like it just seems weird, man. Like it might explain partly why he's turned out into such a specimen, like, not just his genetics.
Sally had been in a strangely similar situation to that of Rupel's, only on the receiving end. As we can learn from an article in a local Alaskan newspaper, Rupel's father, and Sally's first husband, is a man named William Bill Smith, born in 1941. According to public records, Sally was born in 1952, and Rupel was born in 1969, meaning she was 17 when she had him, and just 14 when she got married to Bill, who was 25 years
14? What is it with... I don't get it. Why is it... In America, I've heard of in these cases, like, people getting married when they're like completely underage. Like, is that even legal? And if it is, does that mean then doing things with them is legal? I don't get how it works. Like, it's so weird, like the state and federal difference between state and federal laws in the US. I just don't understand. How are you allowed to get married to a 14-year-old, like, with their parents' permission? Like, what parent will do that? I don't even get it.
The exact same age Rupel had been when he committed his crime. What's worse is that Rupel had older siblings, though records on how many are difficult to find. We know that at least one of them was also named Bill, who ended up simultaneously suffering from AIDS and cancer until he passed away in 2015.
Ouch.
Just so you know, when I say Cyraxx is a purebred lolcow, I mean generations of extremely unfortunate circumstances have coalesced to bring him forth. Via newspaper clippings of one of Sally's brother's obituary, we can determine her maiden name is Arntzen. But when she took Cyraxx in to raise him, she was married to another man named Gordon Wilkins and took his last name, so she decided to rename Cyraxx accordingly, calling him by the name he went on to use for the entirety of his life.
This is Chance Finley Wilkins talking to Nicholas Beagler. What
is this? Is this a wrestling shout out video where he's like, he's trying to rile up his opponent? Wait. What's the voice suddenly?
Generation.
What's up? This is Chance Weekly Wilkinson.
Of extremely unfortunate circumstances have coalesced to bring him forth. Via newspaper clippings of one of Sally's brother's obituary, we can determine her maiden name is Arntzen. But when she took Cyraxx in to raise him, she was married to another man named Gordon Wilkins and took his last name, so she decided to rename Cyraxx accordingly, calling him by the name he went on to use for the entirety of his life.
This is Chance Finley Wilkins talking to Nicholas Beagler. What you fail to realize, Nick, is that I made you.
From Patrick Smith to Chance Wilkins, from Alaska to Ohio, Cyraxx wasn't even 5 and was
you will feel the pain.
Already undergoing some radical transformations. In his recollection, he had a very rough time at school, with people bullying him and giving him swirlies due to his appearance.
I don't know what a swirly is. I'm guessing we've got an English equivalent. But yeah, bullying's not cool, man. It don't excuse how he turned out, but, you know, like, bullying's not cool. Least of all, someone who's as much of a specimen, like, as if he doesn't have enough, like, As if he doesn't struggle enough, like waking up and knowing who he is and looking in the mirror and that, and then you got to add on top of that. Like, lucky you didn't turn into a shooter or
I was
something.
supposed to die the day that I was born. And when I was born with one kidney and 1.5 lungs. And, you know, growing up through school, you know, I did get picked on. I got bullied way more than most. I got judged, you know, I got beat up every day. I was that kid that was an outcast in high school.
See, I believe that, and that is very sad and tragic. Sometimes you've got to separate. You got to at least appreciate the fact that someone has gone through some turmoil. Like, even if they have done bad things in their life, it doesn't excuse it. But I mean, like, bullying's just really, really sad altogether. And I mean, like, I'm not surprised he got bullied, but it's not cool.
But as we will learn in full detail, Chance isn't an entirely reliable narrator, since contrary to his claims, it seems he did indeed have friends during his school years. In an interview with Elspeth, a friend of Cyraxx's from high school, she said,
"We met quite literally in high school. We had a mutual friend in common, and that's how we met."
According to Elspeth, Chance and his group of friends bonded over their interest in dancing, so much so that she herself is a trained ballet dancer. She recalls an instance where they both performed a piece called The Dueling Dancers at the school's talent show.
Do you know when they ballet dancers, they dance on the tips of their toes? That's witchcraft, bro. That's like floating, like that's levitating.
But unfortunately, there's no footage of this event. When they weren't at school, they usually met up and hung out at the house of their aforementioned friend, Billy Seiler. Billy was a short, legally blind African-American student, and Cyraxx described him as a closer friend than the rest of the group. After all, Billy was the one who introduced him to Linkin Park, one of Cyraxx's favorite bands. Months before any of his followers investigated Cyraxx's story with Billy, Cyraxx spontaneously brought it up, saying,
"Unfortunately, when I was 16 to 17 years old, around that time period, I was actually by one of my best friends from high school. Billy Seiler. We had gone to the same high school together, and me and him grew really, really close. We were super cool with each other."
This is quite a claim to make, especially to bring it up as lightly as Cyraxx did. This was enough to rouse suspicion, but as time went on, the situation only worsened. In another retelling, Cyraxx mentioned that his family spoke to the school about what Billy supposedly did to him, and the school responded by kicking Cyraxx out so it wouldn't happen again.
No, that's not how it works.
That's why they removed me from that school, so it didn't happen to me again.
No,
Though
that's
this
not
isn't
how it
impossible,
works.
it sounds unlikely that the victim of such a circumstance would be the one getting kicked out of the school. Worse yet was the fact that Cyraxx originally claimed to have been 16 or 17 when this took place, but he only changed high schools after 2009, when he would have been 19, meaning the time frame doesn't really add up. This discrepancy was confirmed by Cyraxx himself, who later changed it and said that, while Billy was underage, he himself was not.
Cyraxx, how are you not so pissed though at that school? Like, I think it's insane. You should have never been expelled.
We tried, and that's the thing. That's the thing. We tried to fight it, but due to the fact that he was underage.
So as soon as he starts lying, he covers up his chest with his arms to defend himself, and he starts doing self-comforting behavior by rubbing his side. Like, watch it. As soon as the awkward question comes up where he's got to lie. Sorry, I like body language analysis.
Never been expelled.
We tried, and that's the thing. That's the thing. We tried to fight it, but due to the fact that he was underage and I was overage.
Oh my god, dude! I don't understand.
Chatting bungle, mate.
People became suspicious and sent Cyraxx at
absolute nonsense, mate. Like absolute garbage.
Given this person's name out, they decided to look further into it. The information was enough to find Billy's Facebook and contact him, informing him of what Cyraxx claimed happened during high school. Once contact was established, what Cyraxx allegedly did to Billy became a matter of public knowledge.
So we were up in my room, it was late at night, probably 1 o'clock on a weekday. When it gets hot, guys tend to take off their shirts and everything. I was either on my belly on the floor, or I think I was searching for something, and the next thing I know is and at this point, I had never given any type of consent whatsoever.
This all but confirmed in the eyes of many that at the ripe age of either 18 or 19 years old, Cyraxx had assaulted a disabled minor. What a great way to start the story. We have little to no information on what else Chance was up to during the 2000s, but we do know what his family was up to. His mother, Connie, remarried in 2002 and was living with a man named Michael. But just a few years later, in 2007, she tragically passed away while using a wood stove, They didn't have proper piping, and because of this, it resulted in a house fire.
Wait, is that his mum?
Had assaulted a disabled
Is that his mum that died?
Minor. What a great way to start the story. We have little to no information on what else Chance was up to during the 2000s, but we do know what his family was up to. His mother, Connie, remarried in 2002 and was living with a man named Michael. But just a few years later, in 2007, she tragically passed away while using a wood stove that didn't have proper piping, and because of this, it resulted in a house fire. Perhaps adding to the tragedy was the fact that she passed away on Cyraxx's 17th birthday. A little over a year later, the house Sally was living in with Chance was broken into, though there's no way to know if the perpetrator was ever found. In late 2009 to early 2010, Cyraxx created his first ever YouTube channel, but it was nothing to write home about besides a few AMVs he made with freeware, and definitely stole from other people's content while doing so. The years of 2010 and 2011 were mostly uneventful, though Cyraxx made a few Facebook posts that contributed to the notion that he wasn't as bullied as he said he was, since he had multiple girlfriends during this period. He also shows his funnier side with jokes such as, Santa, ho ho ho, me. Damn, Santa has 3 hoes? What a man, one at a time. And they better get paid extra. You so fat and old, nasty.
I don't even think that's even though that's a crappy joke, yeah. I still think it's too good for Cyraxx. I think he copied and pasted that from Reddit or something.
Only in 2012 that things get intense with Cyraxx abusing
and one of those really bad Reddits that are just stupid.
Damn, Santa has 3 hoes? What a man, one at a time. And they better get paid extra. You so fat and old, nasty. It's only in 2012 that things get intense with Cyraxx abusing his grandmother, Sally, in a document retrieved via the Freedom of Information Act, because yes, his followers are that dedicated. We have information on every time the police have been called in relation to Cyraxx's house, and on the 14th of February, a domestic fight was reported by Sally's brother, William Arnson. Chance is described as out of control and fighting with his mom before leaving the house and walking toward the freeway. It appears he attempted to choke or strangle his grandmother, but fortunately, the report cites no injuries and no weapons. To this day, we don't.
How are you gonna start wailing on your mum and your nan? How are you gonna start doing that?
Know what exactly this was about or what happened, but we do have this mugshot to make up for it.
That doesn't even look real. Do you know when you on like Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or whatever, yeah, and you click randomize character. Or no, it's even worse than that. Do you ever, like, older people will remember on PlayStation 1 with the wrestling games where you could randomize like and create your own wrestlers? That's what he looks like. And that's why he's like, feel the pain, I'm Chance Wilkinson.
Well, we have the first significant bouts of online activity from Cyraxx, who at this time went under the name of DJ Shadowblade, which he misspelled a variety of ways. One of these early manifestations was his war cry.
That's hurting my throat. That's hurting my throat.
Supposedly, this was him beating Chester Bennington's record of longest scream, though what Chance did here hardly qualifies as a scream, more of, I don't know. Sounds like me when the drive-thru takes longer than 3 minutes. A year later...
Isn't Chester from Linkin Park, I think? And didn't he die? Oh man, that's tragic if that's true. I think I learned recently that he died, I think.
Despite being a whopping 23 years old and still in high school, we have a couple of videos from this.
23 and still in high school? Flipping hell. Is that because you get kept behind in the US and you have to repeat grades? I don't think we do that in the UK, or if we do, it's really rare. But that's a bit weird, man. Shouldn't they go to their own adult school, like, or do distance learning or something? Why would you want a 23-year-old anyone, let alone Cyraxx, like in the same classroom on the same level as like minors? That's just like asking for trouble, man.
Time period wherein he's doing basic.
I mean, the geezer's already assaulted a blind black kid. Yeah, like I don't think he can be trusted around minors.
Though what Chance did here hardly qualifies as a scream, more of I don't know. Sounds like me when the drive-thru takes longer than 3 minutes.
That's the crappiest joke. Tom, like, I love you, yeah, and I love your humor and your intellect, yeah, but that joke was just awful. Maybe you were doing it on purpose.
A year later, despite being a whopping 23 years old and still in high school, we have a couple of videos from this time period wherein he's doing basic parkour moves like handstands and wall jumps. Cyraxx.
Oh, well, that's pretty impressive to me. I can't. If I tried to do that, it wouldn't end well.
Claimed he had a GPA that was just a couple of points short of 4.0 and was at the top of his class, but they didn't allow him to graduate because he didn't have a perfect 4.0 GPA and was too ugly to graduate, so he eventually got kicked out of the school altogether. Another claim of his was that in this school, he was also severely bullied to the point where a bunch of students pushed him from a balcony. This, too, appears to be a lie, as explained by his aunt, who gave an interview explaining what had happened.
It was lunchtime, and these kids dared him that he couldn't jump something from the balcony.
The backflip. Okay, hold on. I had a question about this. After certain head injuries, like, people fucking have dramatic personality changes at times. Do you feel like after the fucking head injury, like...
What head injury? He didn't hit his head.
He smacked his head off he was like on the second floor when he did the backflip. It was like off the second floor.
He didn't hit his head. He landed on his side and broke his arm.
You see, in order to cover up from having taken a dare and stupidly jumping off of a balcony, he made up a fake story about the other kids having pushed him off of it. He went as far as lying to the police and actually accusing the other students of having done it, but when it turned out that he was lying, he was promptly expelled from the school, and his GPA being below 1 probably didn't help. In his later videos, he enjoyed...
I'm not really familiar with what GPA is. It grade point average? So I think I kind of know what it is, but 1 doesn't sound very good.
Story about the other kids having pushed him off of it. He went as far as lying to the police and actually accusing the other students of having done it, but when it turned out that he was lying, he was promptly expelled from the school, and his GPA being below 1 probably didn't help. In his later videos...
It's not particularly surprising, actually, to be fair, that he got a 1. Do you know what? In a way, I really feel for him. I just can't get over the fact that he's done some really despicable, unforgivable things. But I'm always torn with these locales between feeling bad for them getting bullied, but then feeling like it's actually kind of like justice and retribution. But you know,
enjoyed telling this story is the source of his inexplicable talent.
I'm not encouraging anyone to bully. I think bullying period is wrong. I'd have to make that clear on this channel. Bullying or trolling people, I think, is wrong personally. And I'm not trying to encourage anyone to go and do that. But sometimes you've got to think to yourself, some people kind of bring it on themselves.
Hitting his head on the concrete, which he didn't do since he landed on his side, made him into a musician. As is proven by his very own early uploads, this is a lie since he was already in the music grind, and particularly in the Juggalo scene as early as 2012. One of his earliest uploads still up on the internet has him long-windedly complaining about how strict and rule-oriented the Juggalo community was. This is most likely due to the fact that Cyraxx only feigned to be a Juggalo in order to be a part of the community and find friends, but had no idea what being a Juggalo was about, didn't listen to ICP or any artists related to them, and this was eventually proven by Juggalos who decided to quiz him on his ICP knowledge.
So I was just curious, what was your first album that you got into the clowns?
Believe it or not, dude, it was probably, I'm trying to think. I want to say either Jekyll Brothers or Riddlebox. I can't remember which one it was that got me in.
So what did the cover look like?
Really, dude? Do you know how many fucking years it's been since I've listened to that shit?
Still, it didn't prevent him from claiming he was in the family in the past decade. How dysfunctional do you have to be in order to struggle to meet the criteria for a Juggalo? The only community with lower standards than theirs is probably furries. No offense.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to get round to Tom's videos on furries at some point, and I'm dreading that day. I'm gonna have to take some antiemetics to watch that, and some anti-seizure drugs. Seriously.
Just saying. Well, very little has been archived from this.
Hello, rewards from Boxy Drop.
Oh yeah, by the way, what I do is I do review adverts and shorts on this channel, short adverts as well. But in these documentary reaction series, I'm going to be cutting out the adverts.
Winter Blues.
I nearly cussed then, sorry. I'm trying to keep this channel as friendly as possible.
I've seen the Book of Mormon be able to change my life so much.
Oh, go
we
away,
would love
man.
to give you one as well. As you can see, we have lots of copies. So
I'm a Christian, so Mormonism really, really gripes me, man.
No offense. Just saying. Well, very little has been archived from this.
Go back.
To be in order to struggle to meet the criteria for a Juggalo. The only community with lower standards than theirs is probably furries. No offense. Just saying. Well, very little has been archived from this era due to how frequently Cyraxx deletes everything he has online, only to make a new account with a different name the following day. Judging from his very old and empty LinkedIn page, he claims to be a part of a Juggalo record label called Killa Clown Sounds ever since May of 2009. As we can learn from his Facebook, his only prior occupations were abstract artist and painter at C. Wilkins Art, and soldier's son. Given RuPaul's state of affairs, it's clear this is talking about Sally's husband at the time, Gordon Wilkins, who gave Chance his last name. Once again, deferring to his Facebook posts, he claimed to have dropped his first album, Blood on My Hands, in 2010 under the name of Kid Darkness. It looks like his sister was responsible for getting him into contact with the owner of the label, Eric Scrubolo, who signed Cyraxx out of pity. A little later on, it seems Chance also did a brief stint as a Christian rock artist, and if this poster is anything resembling genuine, he performed somewhere. I really wish we had footage of this stuff, but in compensation, we have Cyraxx expressing his religious fervor in his very unique fashion. I swear, man, I wish I could give that no-good Satan and his demons a piece of my fist and foot in their mouths and shut them up for good. In a comment he left under this post, he also seems to believe that God killed the devil at some point. I'm not sure if that's in the Bible or if it's in his headcanon, but for a man as devoted to Cyraxx, I won't be the one to cast doubt on his theological knowledge.
That's not true. I could get into it, yeah. I really could. I could get into it. Like, I've got a Christian channel. That's what that's for.
In another post from this time, he lamented his lack of success in the music industry, saying, "My name is Chance Wilkins. I'm 21 years old, with my mom working 2 days a week waiting tables in a little restaurant, and it's still not being enough to fully get by on bills, and me going through many hardships in life. I decided to do something to help all that. So I decided to get into music, and many people have judged me because I auto-tune my real voice to make it sound better, but I don't care. I still keep going, and I always will. I don't ask for much. I just ask for my dream to come true so I can help my family."
Like, no one cares anymore about auto-tune, yeah? No one cares, yeah? They probably care because the music is rubbish, yeah? 2, what are you on about? Help your family. He's trying to pull a fast one, yeah? Like, I highly doubt he spends any money on his family. He just seems like such a self-centered, selfish person, and I just see him spending it on crap, basically.
Kind of a sweet message, actually. It must have been really stressful to carry his family on his back, since it's during this period that he begins developing his infamous skullet. He was convinced...
Tom, I've got to give you credit, man. The way you present things, it's just hilarious, yeah? But you also do it in like a really thought-provoking way. Like, you ask all the right questions, you make all the right statements.
He was going to get paid up to $5 grand and that he'd be in every music magazine, but unfortunately this never happened. Even before people were actively trolling him with fake promises of fame and fortune for his music, Cyraxx proves to truly be one of a kind, as he tricks himself into these delusions for no reason without any outside interference. Another
it's
of his
like,
uploads...
do you know, you see those pictures of before and after meth? He looks like the final form.
Even before people were actively trolling him with fake promises of fame and fortune for his music, Cyraxx proves to truly be one of a kind, as he tricks himself into these delusions for no reason without any outside interference. Another of his uploads from 2012 is a video called Inside the Shadows, which has Cyraxx giving an unrequested tour of his house to his non-existent audience. It's very aptly named since the lighting is horrid and you can barely make out what he's trying to show you. While the majority of content this early is completely lost and most likely rotting in the cursed confines of Cyraxx's hard drive, we do have an archive song he worked on. Given his slurring drawl...
I dread to think what's on that geezer's hard drive, man. That would be a federal lawsuit waiting to happen.
There's nowhere to be heard during the track, and the beat sounds like if you converted a brain hemorrhage into an MP3, we can presume he was the producer. Check it out for yourself.
Party, 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 party.
In August, he claimed he was working on an album with fellow juggler.
Gonna have to listen to that again. It ain't even got that bad a beat to it. It's actually better than I was like expecting. Let me try a rap over it. Let's have a go.
You have an archive song he worked on. Given his slurring drawl is nowhere to be heard during the track, and the beat sounds like if you converted a brain hemorrhage into an MP3, we can presume he was the producer. Check it out for yourself.
I run when I hear sirens. You think your man a hard Osman fight like Vikings. In my ends, I'm a tyrant.
In August, he claimed he was working on an album with fellow juggalo rapper Spitfire the Twisted Killer, who doesn't seem to actually exist. In early 2012, it appears he either was or wanted to be involved with a girl named Hannah, as we can see in a post of his where he apologizes to her for some unspecified wrongdoings of his, and performatively says she's the reason he didn't do something drastic the night prior. This appeal wouldn't stick though, and a while later, he not only starts
emotional manipulation
dating, but supposedly gets engaged to a new girl named Heather, who appears to also be very into juggalo culture and works on music with Cyraxx under the name of Shadowcat Hashlet. The names are so fire. In another music-related post, Cyraxx posted what he calls lyrics, but given it was decently formatted and didn't have a typo in every other word, it's obviously a ripped poem from a guy called Mark Slaughter, which we
just didn't
No, because he forgot to take out the copyright notice at the bottom. It's clear he was very invested in his juggalo phase, but didn't know exactly how to express it. For example, in one post where he shared a picture of a little girl with progeria, his way of being nice to her was saying he considers her a juggalette. But music wasn't the only artistic venue.
What is he trying to say? Like, what is he trying to say by that? A juggalette? Like, is that because she's like got that illness or that disease? Like, that's no
phase, but didn't know exactly how to express it. For example, in one post where he shared a picture of a little girl with progeria, his way of being nice to her was saying he considers her a juggalette. But music wasn't the only artistic venue of Cyraxx, as in late 2012, he announced he was working on a manga series called Spectorbs, which was going to release in early to mid 2013, which did not happen. As time progresses, Chance becomes increasingly erratic. Perhaps because he learned the absolute basics of how to make music, it gave him an unrequited ego boost he had no idea how to handle. But early signs of the behavior he eventually became very well known for also started to show. We have this early 2013 clip of him addressing someone who apparently insulted one of his friends.
Talking all this crap and shit. This guy seems to think I'm hiding behind words, but I'm not. You hear that, Aaron? I'm not hiding behind anything, little man. You want a little man? Look at you. You're nothing but a punk-ass baby. Hiding behind his own damn words, just too afraid to stand up to me like a real man.
Anyone with decent online experience knows there's no greater waste of time than engaging in keyboard warriorism, not to mention the fact that people who are belligerent online tend to be trolls that you stand nothing to gain from interacting with. But obviously this is hard to explain to Cyraxx. However, where a typical person sees a waste of time, Chance sees an opportunity to act like he's a WWE wrestler whose gimmick is talking like he just came out of a sludge puddle in the middle of a trailer park.
He does sound like a WWE wrestler. At the beginning was like, you feel the pain. This is Chance Wilkinson.
Get-go, it's very clear he gets a kick out of making threats of violence and pretending he can beat up people or kill them. Still, no matter how unlikable he gets, he keeps finding his way into new girlfriends, and by 2013, we finally get to see the face of Heather. Her first appearance is in a video he published on the very first day of 2013, where he announces he's abandoning the juggalo lifestyle, but emphasizes he's still a part of the family.
Like, we're not going to stop being friends with any of the juggalos, and that if you
guys... Is this supposed to be like a press release or something? As if he thinks he's does he think he's a celebrity and he's doing a press release to apologize to...
That's cool, but we just dropped the lifestyle.
Exactly. We didn't drop the family itself. It's the lifestyle itself that we dropped.
It's like when you get like when like a politician or a mayor has done something like egregious, like smoking crack with like prostitutes, and then and then he's standing there apologizing on camera with his angry wife next to him.
Chance is very keen on giving himself an air of sophistication and seems to very consciously imitate the kind of statements and manner of speech that actual artists exhibit during interviews, as if mimicking the way they talk is an effective way to become famous himself. Anthropologically speaking, it's fascinating to see a guy act out what is tantamount to a cargo cult of these celebrities he follows in real time. A little while later, Chance publishes another video, this time apologizing for having thrown the dog tags from his record label, Killa Clown Sounds, into a lake.
When we did the whole thing with the dog tags, it's because we were pissed off. We didn't know what the hell to do. We were only doing like my mom wanted us to do. She came up with the idea to throw him into the lake, and at the time it seemed like...
Look, you can see she don't even know what he's talking about. Look, let's zoom in. She's like, what is this geezer even chatting about, man? Watch this.
To a cargo cult of these celebrities he follows in real time. A little while later, Chance publishes another video, this time apologizing for having thrown the dog tags from his record label, Killa Clown Sounds, into a lake.
When we did the whole thing with the dog tags, it's because we were pissed off. We didn't know what the hell to do. We were only doing like my mom wanted us to do. She came up with the idea to throw him into the lake, and at the time it seemed like a good idea. And honestly, we regret it, man.
Once again, I have to give some...
She's not on board with what he's saying at all. What the hell?
We regret it, man.
Once again, I have to give some special attention to the cinematography. First off, if you pay close attention, the sad song from the ending of early Naruto episodes is playing in the background to accentuate the emotion of Cyraxx's apology. Secondly, he also has Heather ominously hovering around in the background to back him up, probably because he thinks having his girlfriend present makes him look cooler and legitimizes the things he says. He also subtly blames Sally for giving him the idea of throwing the dog tags into the lake, as if he had no choice but to follow her advice. Not only does he neglect to mention why, but he claims he's family with Eric and that he's the only reason they made it this far, despite the fact that Cyraxx has not made it anywhere, let alone somewhere far from his starting point of literally living in his grandmother's basement. Chance nonchalantly moved on from the situation and resumed his typical posting, with gems such as his live stream wherein he schizophrenically plays the piano and calls it classical composition.
Oh no.
Mwah, beautiful. However,
it was beautiful. Sounds like that. You know, like that. It sounds like really, really bad progressive jazz.
Much later down the timeline, people decided to look further into Cyraxx's departure from Scrubbalow's label, only to discover what he was actually dropped for.
I've known him for close to maybe 10 years, and to be
this geezer on the phone, he sounds like a juggalo.
However, much later down the timeline, people decided to look further into Cyraxx's departure from Scrubbalow's label, only to discover what he was actually dropped for.
I've known him for close to maybe 10 years, and to be honest with you, in the beginning I felt bad for the guy, and he was trying to be a DJ, and I'm like, okay man, well, I mean, I kind of feel bad for you. If you listen to my songs, you hear me shout out to Blade.
Yeah, he goes by Cyraxx now.
Yeah, that was stolen from me. I was gonna release an album called the Cyraxx Complex. He used to go by Virus, which was also stolen from me. I don't know, man, he stole like 10 of my songs.
Jesus Christ.
Is it just me, or is this not really even like a quote-unquote real record label, like, or at least it's a small one, it's an indie small one, and Cyraxx obviously wasn't getting paid, and he still managed to get booted off of the label.
He just steals everything, right?
Yeah.
Besides these events, 2013 was a remarkably vacant year for Cyraxx, especially in regard to his social media activity. His Facebook has just a couple of posts. Apparently, after his departure from Killa Clown Sounds, he was then a member of another music group called Redcon 1. The last honorable mention of 2013 is another police report of a fight which Sally called in, though it took place much later in the year and we have no way of discovering what it was about. In 2014, we have relatively few actual posts on his Facebook, but plenty of changes to his profile and background pictures, with doozies such as this Second Life character with some kind of lyrics to the side, and what seems to be a superhero character.
Let's read that. Yeah, let's start paying attention. Are these lyrics?
Covering what it was about. In 2014, we have relatively few actual posts on his Facebook, but plenty of changes to his profile and background pictures, with doozies such as this Second Life character with some kind of lyrics to the side.
Right, let's try and get it, yeah? Let me get it. Yeah, let's start paying attention to the red flags. They ask you your help. They're showing the signs, but we're just ignoring them. Let's start paying attention. No, it's not. They're not lyrics. They're not good lyrics. Yeah, let's start paying attention to the red flags. They ask you for your help. They're showing the signs, but we're just ignoring them. Let's start paying attention, y'all. A lot of people may think this is a cop-out, but they can't hack it. It doesn't work on any level whatsoever.
And what seems to be a superhero character created by Chance called Red Phoenix. He also uses one of those free Yu-Gi-Oh card-making websites to make cards for a bunch of new metal and emo bands. And while he continued to be associated with Redcon, he now titled himself as an anime illustrator and author for a series called Rinmaru High Clander, which doesn't exist. In one of his few archive posts from this time period, he claims to be an American soldier, which is something he adopted on account of his adoptive father, Gordon, as he was retired from being in the military.
He wouldn't pass like any of the tests. He wouldn't pass the mental acuity test. He wouldn't pass the physical test. He'll go in, get a physical examination, one look from the doctor as soon as he walks in, and he'll go, nope.
In May of that year, he began a new video series called Gamer Madness Monthly, which he never continues. In his first episode, he announces he will be working on a horror game called Possessions that will somehow simultaneously play like Resident Evil, Call of Duty, and Halo. In the same time frame, he posts another video complaining about the zero tolerance laws on fighting. I'm actually not sure what he's talking about here, but the gist of it is he's lecturing the then President Barack Obama on why the law needs to be changed so that people can defend themselves. I think
Dude, you ain't fighting no one, bro. Like, the only person you could knock out on YouTube is that kid who sings New York. And if you're lucky, Daniel Larson. Yeah, okay, I reckon a good fight would be Daniel Larson versus Cyraxx. I reckon that's quite an even fight, yeah. Like, I think that, like, both of their statures, they both got a lot of anger built up. Like, it'd be a bit unfair pitting Cyraxx against the New York kid, because he obviously, I've seen a video of him trying to shadow box, and yeah, like, I'd love to see Daniel and Cyraxx go at it.
This is a case of Cyraxx trying to chime in on a political topic, but misinterpreting what he was trying to talk about. This is very rich, since were it not for the fact that he was so visibly challenged, Sally could have charged him with assault for trying to choke her out a couple of years prior. A few months of silence go by, and finally, we get to hear what Cyraxx sounds like when he's rapping. As you can see from the cover, this was a song done in collaboration with an unnamed third party in a group called Underground Assassins.
I actually am a rapper, man. I've got it on my other channel. I'm actually really good. All that stuff earlier, I was only messing around. Like, I'm actually pretty flipping good at rapping. So yeah, let's get it.
And I'm guessing this other guy is responsible for the new metal screaming that shows up for a few seconds in the middle of the track. What's also noticeable is the creative liberties Cyraxx takes, such as saying the gamer word every other line. Sometimes
what is the gamer word? Is it the N word, or is it the R word, or is it the G word? Like, what? How do I not know what the gamer word is? What is
more than once in a single line. Not that we should have a problem with that, considering Cyraxx is from the hood and he does represent. His vocals seems
it's the M word. Wait, I'm quarter caste, yeah. I'm like part Jamaican, and even I rarely say that word. And when I do, it's ironic.
Up to fit in the track, which is strange because they still aren't anywhere in the vicinity of being on time. And it should also be noted that once again, this is all done over a Linkin Park beat. On the same day the track went up, Cyraxx also uploaded.
Oh no, I tell a lie. One of my lyrics, I'm like, how's it go? Oh yeah, holler at my nigga George, he is the plug. He got the bud that make you go fud. Like, obviously taking the mick out of old school rap.
First episode of a new series called Underground Show. And, surprising absolutely no one, it's the same as all of his other shows where he just kind of films himself with a handheld camera in a dark basement. Besides showing the art pieces he had made out of what looks like plastic beads, he explains that his intention with this series in particular is to review things from the 90s or even before, from TV shows to video games. A few days later, he dropped a cover of the Linkin Park song Burn It Down, except he does grindcore type vocals instead of actually singing it.
Oh no.
A Juggalo song was uploaded as well, but the vocals don't sound like Chance and the beat sounds too normal to be one of his, but it is mysteriously pitched up, so maybe that's his contribution to the track. 2015 rolls around and the first half of...
He's just taken someone's music, he took it, and then and then changed the pitch, just...
The year is pretty much silent on his end, perhaps because in April of that year, Chance got involved in a physical altercation that resulted in him being slammed against a stop sign and allegedly hurting his back so bad he required emergency services to pick him up. It's unknown whether he ended up spending time in a hospital due to his injuries, but getting beat up definitely deflated his ego, as during this period, there are no talks about beating people up coming from Chance. In a Facebook post made months after, he resented the police for not catching and arresting the man who beat him, as well as claiming the incident misaligned his spine and caused him to live in a continuous state of pain, despite the doctors who checked him out saying nothing was broken. By October, he had once again taken up...
To be fair, like we still don't know everything about the spine and the central nervous system, so he could well be in constant pain, but you know, he's also full of BS, so who knows.
The incident misaligned his spine and caused him to...
Let me read that. You know, reason one why I hate... Does that say what I think it says? The one reason why would it be blurred out? Why I hate Can Please is because they don't do their job. Some of you may not see it just by looking at me, but a few months ago I got back slammed into a stop sign. Now I could tell that by looking at you that you got slammed into a stop sign repeatedly on your face. Who always bullied me and he got away with it, and ever since that day I've suffered with a sunken in spine and may also be misaligned. The medics even said nothing was broken, but every day I live in pain because of what he did to me. Yeah, I can believe that. Like, I mean, he's frail enough as it is. He looks like he's like one trip and fall away from like like palliative care. But like, no, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Live in a continuous state of pain, despite the doctors who checked him out saying nothing was broken. By October, he had once again taken up the mantle of professional music producer, selling beats he had made for $1 a pop. Quite the steal. However, probably because none of the beats sold, he became quite upset and considered giving up on music altogether, saying, I hate to say this, but my work as a music artist is done. I know I'm gonna upset and piss a lot of you off, but the music world is not where I belong anymore. I don't have the talent I used to.
He's like Daniel Larson, like he thinks he's like famous rather than infamous.
And I'm sorry for those of you who I'm going to upset with this post, but my future lies in doing my artwork. As of this moment, I am done with music for good. Again, I'm truly sorry for those of you I'm going to make mad and upset, but please try to understand my point. His grandmother chimed in to say that the reason he was upset was that he got judged for his music, but a much more likely explanation is that Chance has a very low attention span and doesn't seem capable of committing himself to something over a super long period of time.
That sounds kind of like me, man. I pick up projects all the time, but then I get ones like my Everything Bite Size channel that I know is a winner, and I know this new channel's a winner as well, like just based on the engagement and response so far. But I've got bipolar, so I pick up projects all the time. But like I've managed to rein it in and control myself more and focus on things. But this guy's like all over the place, man.
Proof of this is that he doesn't even commit to giving up. It's just a few months later, he was publicly considering remaking a previous album of his, which, by the way, doesn't seem like it was ever properly made in the first place. In November, he attempted to play League of Legends, only to discover that going AFK during a match gets you suspended. Fortunately for him, his interest in League of Legends was still not enough to prevent him from somehow getting yet another girlfriend, a girl named May, though judging from her Facebook URL, that was probably just an avatar name. Onlookers are continually amazed by the fact that Cyraxx is able to pull these girls, and honestly, I don't really know how he does it. I guess he just has riz like that. After all, if we acknowledge his home state... Never mind. In November, Sally made 2 calls to the police to report a suspicious black vehicle parked outside their home, but there's no way of knowing what this was about.
Just gonna drink some of my homemade wine and cider homemade strawberry cider, basically. One sec.
Meanwhile, Chance is up to his usual shenanigans as a little while later, a tragedy takes place in the city of Akron. A man named Zach Hussein is shot in a pizza parlor, prompting Chance to make a plethora of posts calling the man his brother and good friend, although there's no evidence he even knew this guy. Most likely, Cyraxx was trying to ride the coattails of the news, so much so that his way of mourning Mr. Hussein was to start making custom car designs.
No, that's parasitic, man. To use a tragedy like that to try and piggyback off of it to launch your non-existent music career. That's pretty low.
Looks like Second Life, with the guy's face and name plastered all over them, no less. He went as far as to open a Facebook page called ZNC Customs, with the ZNC standing for Zach and Chance, and it's very likely there was no approval whatsoever for this to be done. And with this wonderful image as his profile picture, we closed 2015 off as the calm before the storm. In January of 2016, he announced the creation of an anime-style punk metal band, and just a day later, he said he would be developing a video game for mobile devices. On the exact same day, he took it back in another post saying, I have some saddening news. I know many of you were looking forward to me bringing back a few games, but due to the stress level...
What do you mean bringing back? You never made a game to begin with, you idiot.
The programs, I am making them into a manga, which will be released within the next few months. I am deeply and terribly sorry for the upset this may cause for some of you, but I feel as if making them into mangas will be much easier for me to do and less stressful. It's becoming needless to say, but neither the mobile games nor the mangas were ever made. Also on the same day, he puts up a post for the sale of a thumb drive for $50 via PayPal, containing 40 custom art pieces, 10 custom 3D car designs, and 10 unreleased instrumentals of his. And if you want an idea of what these art pieces are, when they aren't stolen from other people, they are the product of presets and automated designs, such as these lovely vases he was showcasing a little while later. Likewise, the instrumentals he makes are all using software that automatically structures a beat.
This geezer's got his fingers in a million different pies, man. What was it? Custom vases.
When they aren't stolen from other people, they are the product of presets and automated designs, such as these lovely vases he was showcasing a little while later. Likewise, the instrumentals he makes are all using software that automatically structures a beat. A few days later,
I use artificial intelligence to make music on my other channel, but it's actually pretty good.
When they aren't stolen from other people, they are the product of presets.
I make my own music too. Like, I'm a musician, but it's amazing what you can do with AI nowadays. Like, he could actually successfully become a musician if he learned how to use AI properly. You've got to know what prompts to put in to get good results. But yeah, man, you got a chance now. Chance, Wilkie Wilkinson.
Automated designs, such as these lovely vases he was showcasing a little while later. Likewise, the instrumentals he makes are all using software that automatically structures a beat. A few days later, he began selling custom anime art for $5. Presumably, when this manic period of hyperproductivity died down,
I think he might have bipolar, because it is like he's displaying signs of mania, like for sure. Like I'm not saying I relate to him, because I have no relation to this guy whatsoever, apart from the fact that he creates loads of different projects. And the difference is like some of my projects actually flipping
settled back
succeed.
into a melancholic, depressive state, as on February 7th, he mourns his
he sounds like he's got bipolar. Like, yeah. He does.
Absence of a girlfriend. A lolcow classic. Why can't I be happy with a wonderful girl who loves me for me and won't hurt me or use me, then throw me away? All I want is to be happy. Is that too much to ask for? To be happy with a girl who doesn't drink, smoke, or do any drugs and will stand by my side no matter what? Is that really too much to ask for?
I've just come up with a theory. I think I did on my other channel when I reacted to this video. I've got a theory, yeah? I reckon he is built down there, yeah. I reckon he is a unit between the legs, yeah. I bet you he's an absolute tank. That's how he's getting these girls, and that's what else are they going to use him for? He's got to have something like going for him, and all of those genetics, yeah, like. All of those genetics that have gone wrong, like he got blessed with one thing to make up for it.
The no drinking, no drugs caveat is truly reminiscent of the GOAT Chris Chan's attraction sign.
Yes.
But the comments reveal that Cyraxx is indeed a fake cell, as a girl named Michelle Nicole Kingsbury says, "You are not single. I'm yours, ain't I? I thought I've been yours since like October." Cyraxx thought it wise not to respond to these fake cell allegations, though. Seriously now, it's almost as if he has a child's idea of what having a girlfriend means, and is sufficiently pleased by just calling someone that and being done with it. So much so that he's even forgotten someone had actually agreed to be his girlfriend already. His businessman persona takes the wheel again, this time advertising his pottery pieces with what looks to be poorly rendered 3D Celtic rune patterns. Once again, he didn't sell a
Tom, I've got to give you respect for pointing that out as Celtic. Like that's impressive.
Had actually agreed to be his girlfriend already. His businessman persona takes the wheel again, this time advertising his pottery pieces with what looks to be poorly rendered 3D Celtic rune patterns. Once again, he didn't sell a single one, and I doubt that he could actually even get one of these vases made if someone was goofy enough to buy one from him. His mania dies down, and after complaining about not making any money with his art, blaming it on companies not giving him a chance, he decides to go after the people who are stealing his art and claiming it as their own. Well, this is ironic, considering that he's done this hundreds of times at this point. There's no evidence that anyone's stolen any of Cyraxx's original artwork at all. If I were to guess, he saw someone complaining about being stolen from and decided to just do the same thing. Obviously, if this is a real concern about a real piece of artwork, he could just get it copyrighted. If Chris Chan managed to copyright Sonichu, there's no way Cyraxx couldn't do the same thing with his art. In April, he opened a new record label called Metal Militia, which hosted his band Black.
Oh, that's quite a good name, Metal Militia. That's the first name from these millions of companies he started so far that I thought, you know what, that's not a bad name.
This was a real concern about a real piece of artwork, he could just get it copyrighted. If Chris Chan managed to copyright Sonichu, there's no way Cyraxx couldn't do the same thing with his art. In April, he opened a new record label called Metal Militia, which hosted his band Black Fire Lighthouse. The only problem is his band was just a screen capture from the Flash game Punk-O-Matic.
What the hell?
Didn't stop him from advertising for it using IMVU models though, and unfortunately, we are unable to hear any of their work at this moment. Lost media. A couple of weeks later, he once again starts talking about making a video game, but it turns out he just learned how to use Mugen, a fighting game template that allows you to easily add playable characters by downloading pre-made files and placing them in a folder in the program's directory. On his Facebook, he showed a computer-generated fight between the protagonist of Fatal Fury, Joe Higashi, and movie star Bruce Lee. Unfortunately, his primitive programming skills weren't impressing anybody, so he once again became melancholic, sharing his negative experience with relationships. Everyone wonders.
I think Tom realizes that he's got bipolar. He just doesn't want to diagnose. I'm not diagnosing him either. I'm just saying I think he might have it. I think Tom knows he's got bipolar and he's hinting towards it with the whole mania, manic, then melancholy. manic melancholy. Like Tom knows, man. Like Tom ain't stupid at all. Yeah, he's just got to be careful what he says in his videos.
But people like me have trust issues when in a relationship. It's because when you're hurt, abused, and lied to so much, you don't know what to do, and half the time you want to end it, but don't want to be the bad guy in the end. It's not as simple as most think, especially when you truly love someone and they treat you really bad, yet you still give them everything in the hopes of them changing. Those who have hurt me may be the way I am today in relationships, and that is in no way my fault. And if you have trust issues in a relationship and are getting treated badly, you are in no way at fault, and nor are you alone.
He didn't write that. I've seen how he writes. Yeah, I'm going to have to end it there, guys. It's probably been about an hour so far. So yeah, you've been locked into Nuclear Reaction Faction. Subscribe for part 2. Go and check out my other content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.